long summer evening, the quiet town of Wolcott, Connecticut usually seems even more peaceful. But shortly after 8 o'clock on July 3rd, 1992, all that changed for Kathy Hubeney, when she found herself facing a very difficult decision, never imagining that the choice she made would be a matter of life or death. This story may be too intense for some viewers.
I was home with my two boys, and they had two of their friends over. I had just plugged in a movie for them to watch, so they were happy. They were very happy, having their buddies, you know, spend the night.
Wolcott emergency.
Hi, I have a girl outside my house, and she wants me to call the police.
Please help me! Do you know what the problem is?
I have no idea. She's saying that somebody attacked her.
You don't know who she is at all?
I have no idea.
What's your...
You hear her?
Okay, hold on a second, honey.
Wolcott Police Dispatcher Janine Valletta took the call.
I radioed to my lieutenant and my two officers that were closest in the area, and then I just kept listening to see if we could find out what was wrong, what was her problem, why was she screaming, why was she so upset.
I had 4 children to worry about, so I was scared of letting her in.
Get away! I know you, but I didn't know who this was. Please don't! It's me. Please don't!
Who is it?
Hang up the phone. Let's go home. Go home.
Kathy?
Yeah.
Who is it, hon?
It's a friend, a neighbor's friend. I know who the person is. I didn't know who this girl is.
Who's the neighbor?
I had met him at a picnic, and I spent time talking with him, and he was a very nice fellow. I figured this must be his girlfriend,
Hang up, she's saying.
and they must have had a fight.
Tell me nothing. Please don't hang up!
He was calm, and she was hysterical. The whole situation was just confusing to me.
I figured it was a domestic dispute, but you know, that bothered me a lot, knowing that these little kids were looking at it.
Help me! Scott, why don't you, I don't know, go.
Yeah, have your neighbor go back to his house.
Yeah. Scott, why don't you go? Stop! Please. Did you call us out? Please, just go home. Did you call us out? She told me to. I had to. Scott! Please! Oh, my God!
What's the matter, honey?
He's still.
Stay on the line, okay?
I was just in shock, and I had to stop him.
Scott!
Her cheek was cut wide open. She had blood all on her hands, all around her neck. And she just walked towards me, and she says, I told you it was going to hurt me.
Lieutenant Don Thurkelson was first to arrive on the scene.
I can't believe somebody died!
Tell her the ambulance is on the way.
Look at you! Please don't let me die!
I could hear Kathy talking to Lieutenant Thurkelson.
Okay, honey. I'm going to let you go, okay?
Okay.
All right.
You think, oh, the call is over, the girl's going to get help, this is the end, I can go and get a cup of coffee, and then the call comes back and there's still more.
The victim was bleeding quite profusely from her neck. So at that point, I went back to the trunk of the cruiser to retrieve the first aid kit.
There he is! There he is!
Drop the knife. Drop the knife. I backed up, hoping to get more time to stop and to realize what he was doing and so forth. But didn't do any good.
I already slit my wrists.
I watched as he walked down the driveway. He never looked at the two of us. He just had his eyes focused on the police officer.
His eyes were just wild. I don't think anybody could have talked any sense into him at that point.
Don't make me do this. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop the knife.
Wolcott emergency.
He just shot the guy. The police officer just shot him.
I didn't want her to see me upset,
I don't know.
but I panicked.
I had a call. Oh, my God.
Okay, honey, calm down.
I was in kind of a state of shock. I could see that I had wounded him mortally, and I was angry that he forced me to do something I didn't want to do.
I was upset for the lieutenant. He's a great guy. They all are.
Take care of the girl.
And you just don't want to see him go through anything like that.
More police came, and Scott was just laying there. I felt alone because I had all strangers in my yard.
You're not going to die.
The Wolcott Volunteer Ambulance Service responded, including EMT Jimmy Roy.
I didn't know that there had been shooting until we arrived, and I only saw one person at first thing in the driveway. It was evident that he wasn't alive. And then there was a cop on the other side of the driveway screaming for me to come over and help him.
I got a bad neck wound here.
It seemed to be she was bleeding quite badly, and the towel was pretty full of blood. She needed to be rushed to the hospital immediately.
Hey, John, it's all right, John. Relax. It's going to be all right. Relax. You're on the way.
She was very, very nervous, very worried that she was going to die. So I tried to calm her down as best I could. In the beginning, I thought it was just going to be another routine call, but it turned out to be probably one that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
The victim, Joan, was transported to St. Mary's Hospital and examined by surgeon Victor Gotay.
She had 10 different wounds. I couldn't believe that she was alive. It's like a miracle. I think any of the 4 wounds in her neck could have cut the main vessel to the head and caused her to exsanguinate right where she was stabbed. Just one of them. And she had 4.
Thank you.
Joan's mother, Marie Santucci, was notified of the attack.
I just couldn't believe this had happened to her. I felt something was coming, but I didn't realize it would be this bad.
How's she doing?
Like any relationship, you have good times and bad. And as the months went on, we had more bad than good.
She used to try to keep a lot of it from me, and I just didn't ask her because she didn't want to tell me.
Director of the Women's Shelter, Peggy Panagrossi, finds the pattern of Joan's story all too common.
Most battered women minimize or deny the abuse. The abuser almost always apologizes and says, "I'm sorry, I will never do it again." And women really want to believe that promise. But unfortunately, most battered women have to do something for themselves because the batterer is not going to change first.
We would argue, we'd fight, he'd scream and holler. But I never thought in my heart that he could come to the point where he would do something so terrible to me.
Kathy's emotional wounds have also been slow to heal.
I wouldn't go out anymore. I just stayed close to home. And it was about 2 months later that I had to call her.
She wanted to speak with me to make sure I was okay.
We talked for hours. We just sat there and cried and talked. It's going to be a long time. Very long time.
I don't think I'll ever forget.
No.
Might get better. She didn't deserve to get involved in all of this.
So you sit around and...
Because it's put a mark on her, too.
You know, when you have too much time on your hand, just sit around and think. That's all I ever think about.
I told her she should have no feelings of guilt whatsoever. She had to protect her family as well as herself.
You don't really talk about it.
She was the one who saved me. And for that, I'm eternally grateful to her. Now we've bonded. We're 2 strangers that will share something for the rest of our lives. Can't deny that. There will always be a bond between us.